Welcome back to the channel. Have coffee with me while I recap this past week's stories in pop culture. Starting with the most obvious story and the biggest story this week was the unfortunate and shocking passing of One Direction's band member Liam Payne. It has been reported that he actually fell or jumped from a balcony on his floor in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The reason why I am saying that he jumped or fell is because we actually don't know how he got off his balcony to die. And we have to say that just because when somebody jumps versus when somebody falls are two different things. Jumping would indicate that he wanted to fall, like that was his intention, was to fall and possibly pass. But falling could mean that he accidentally fell, he didn't mean to die. That's why it's very important to differentiate the difference between falling and possibly jumping. I will get into the weeds of why that is important later, but for now, that is the story that we know. According to reports from Argentina authorities, he fell on impact and died right away. And his injuries were a lot of hemorrhaging and a lot of severe injuries to his body. Allegedly, he had a lot of alcohol and drugs in his system before he died, but we don't really know for sure because the British and the Argentinian authorities are still investigating this death. And of course, a lot of news is coming through as we speak. We will definitely know more as the story develops. So when I first heard this story, I actually automatically felt bad for Gen Z because One Direction is actually their boy band, because every generation has a boy band that they like. So there was the Beatles, of course, and then there was like New Kids on the Block, and then we had NSYNC, and then we had Backstreet Boys. I can't imagine being 15 years old and losing a member from NSYNC. Like, that would devastate me. I really liked Lance Bass growing up. If he had died when I was like 15, 14 or something, I would have been devastated. So I felt bad and sad for Gen Z because One Direction was their thing. One Direction was their favorite, and I felt so sad for them, and I hope that Gen Z is like seriously okay because I know that they love One Direction. So of course, with a major death like this, a lot of reactions do come through from major celebrities, and here's just a few of them. So starting with a major, one of the most important one is the family statement. So here's what they had to say about his death. Liam will forever live in our heart, and we'll remember him for his kind, funny, and brave soul. We are supporting each other the best we can as a family and ask for privacy and space at this time. Like I said before, Liam Payne was a member of One Direction, and his band members also released a statement each. The members of One Direction are Zayn Malik, Louis Tomlinson, Harry Styles, and Niall Horan, and of course, Liam Payne. So from Zayn says the following.
Liam, I found myself talking out loud to you, hoping you can hear me. I can't help but think selfishly that there were so many more conversations for us to have in our lives. I never got to thank you for supporting me through some of the most difficult times in my life. I was always happy to know, no matter what happened on stage, we could always rely on you to know which way to steer the ship next. I lost a brother when you left us, and I can't explain to you what it'd give to just give you a hug one last time and say goodbye to you properly and tell you that I loved and respected you dearly.
Next, Louis says,
I'm beyond devastated by writing this, but yesterday, I lost a brother. Liam was somebody I looked up to every day, such a positive, funny, and kind soul. A message to you, Liam, if you're listening. I feel beyond lucky to have had you in my life, but I'm really struggling with the idea of saying goodbye. I want you to know that if Bear ever needs me, I will be the uncle he needs in his life and tell him stories of how amazing his dad was. I wish I got the chance to say goodbye, tell you one more time how much I loved you. Payne, my boy, one of my best friends, my brother, I love you, mate.
And this next reaction is from Niall Horan.
This picture summed up our relationship. I love you. I'll always be your big brother, X.
Last but not least, this is Harry's statement.
I'm truly devastated by Liam's passing. His greatest joy was making other people happy, and it was an honor to be alongside him as he did it. The years we spent together will forever remain among the most cherished years of my life. I'll miss him always, my lovely friend.
Before Liam died, he actually had a girlfriend. Her name was Kate Cassidy, and here is what she had to say about his death. Thank you for all the kind words and love that you have sent my way. I have been in complete loss. Nothing about the past few days feels real. I ask and pray that you'll give me the grace and space to navigate this in private. Liam, my angel, you are everything. I want you to know I loved you unconditionally and completely. I will continue to love you for the rest of my life. I love you, Liam. The next statement comes from Liam's girlfriend, Cheryl Cole, who actually shares a baby with Liam named Bear. So they had a baby together before his passing. And she says, as I tried to navigate this earth-shattering event and work through my own grief at this indescribably painful time, I'd like to kindly remind everyone that we have lost a human being. Liam was not only a pop star and celebrity, he was a son, brother, and uncle, a dear friend, and a father to our 7-year-old son. A son that now has to face the reality of never seeing his father again. What is troubling my spirit the most is that one day Bear will have access to to the abhorrent reports and media exploitation we have seen in the past few days. It is breaking my heart further that I cannot protect him that in the future. I am begging you to consider what use of these reports are serving other than causing further harm to everyone left behind picking up the pieces. Before you leave comments or make videos, ask yourself if you would like your own child or family to read them. Please give Liam the little dignity that he had left in the wake of his death to rest in some peace at last. Cheryl. That statement is from his baby's mother, and obviously her perspective is definitely different from what we have seen in the last few statements, and I completely understand why she took this stance about protecting her son from all these devastating reports about his father. And of course, Simon Cowell also did make a statement about the passing. Simon Cowell, for those of you who don't know, is actually the founder of One Direction, because One Direction was founded on Simon Cowell's show, The X Factor. And of course, he himself is very, very devastated by his death too. One of my biggest problems when celebrities die is, as Cheryl just said, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of reporting about that death. And another thing that really is kind of frustrating is the fact that these people, the people who knew these celebrities and were closest to celebrities, are kind of forced to make a statement. And I think it's odd that their teams make them make statements. Like Harry, Zayn, Lewis, and Niall did not have to make a statement so fast. These statements were made about 2 days after his death. And I just think that's so weird that they were made and forced to make a statement so quickly. Should I lose a family member, the last thing I would want to do is release a statement for the internet to see. You know what I mean? But I know that it's kind of different if you're a celebrity and you have different fans and things like that. And I know that a lot of fans wanted to hear statements from those band members, of course, because their thoughts are very important to these fans. Like, they want to know how heartbroken they are about the whole situation. But I just feel like the team behind these people shouldn't make them release statements so soon. Like, give them a week, give them a month to process everything, because they literally just lost a family member. They literally just lost a brother. They literally just lost a friend. They literally just lost a band member. To be forced to make a statement so fast, I just can't imagine how heartbreaking that is. And I really wish our culture could stop making people release statements after a day or two after a huge event like this has happened. I want to tread lightly in the next few things I'm about to say about Liam's death, because again, this is a very new situation and I wanted to avoid speculating as much as possible, but I do also want to put these statements out there. Prior to his death, it seemed like Liam was actually going through it mentally. He was doing a lot of drugs, he was drinking a lot, and apparently he was surrounding himself with prostitutes, which is quite interesting if I do say so myself. According to Page 6, earlier this month, his record label actually dropped him from their roster because he was about to release his second album, but unfortunately his solo career is not as successful and is not recuperating as much money as the record label wanted, so they decided to drop him. And on top of that, his publicity team actually resigned from working with him too. So again, like I said, it seemed like he was in a really bad mental place before he died. Does not mean that he deserved to die at all. It just seems like there was a lot of built up. That is why I said earlier that it's very important that we differentiate the difference between falling and jumping. So did he jump because of the things that were happening in his life, or did he just accidentally fall? We will never know until more reports come out. The important thing that I think we can learn from this is that money and fame doesn't make you happy. This guy was a super rock star. He was very good looking. He had all the ladies wrapped up on his little finger. He was rich. He traveled. He did all this stuff, but apparently he still wasn't very happy inside. So it just kind of tells you that it's not about riches and fame and things like that anymore, or especially if he was in a really bad mental space. Although Liam's death did take over most of the news this week, something huge also happened in the political spectrum this week, and that is Kamala Harris going on Fox News to be interviewed by Bret Baier, who is the host of Special Report. As most of you guys know, the US election is coming up in about maybe 16 days, which is very scary because we don't know which way this election is gonna go. But to kind of reach across the aisle and get support, Kamala Harris was on Fox News and they wanted to talk. According to Fox News, this interview was the most watched interviews with over 7 million viewers that night. This surpassed Kamala's CNN interview. This surpassed Kamala's 60 Minutes interview, and everybody was tuning in to see what happened on the show. The interview itself was quite interesting in the regard that Kamala came prepared and she answered all the questions as best as she could. The thing from Bret Brett is that there was a lot of gotcha moments that he wanted to have Kamala do and say, and Kamala wasn't falling for it.
It's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country.
May I please finish?
Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
You didn't bring up that, though.
Responding to the point you're raising.
Fox News tried to twist the narrative and say that Trump did not say certain things that he said, and Kamala came back ready with a retort. In that clip, Brett tried to make Trump look good, and Kamala was not having it.
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy, and this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
And I love the fact that she stood her ground and said what she had to say to make sure that the American people knew that this man might be against democracy. When it comes to reactions of this entire interview, the left will tell you that Kamala, like I just did, stood her ground and did what she had to do and was prepared. The right will say that she didn't answer all the questions.
The going got tough. She went to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And it's all just like, at the end of the day, it's all kind of the same narrative. A party wants to get their party member in office and make them president. So it's all gonna be like kind of like the opposite side of the same coin. And we will just see what happens in November. This election has been stressing me out, and I cannot wait till it's over and done with, because I'm going crazy here. Jennifer Lopez is back, and recently she had an interview with Nikki Glazer for Interview Magazine, and she talked about how hard of a summer she had. And I can imagine that, because she and Ben have officially filed for divorce. Her tour was canceled. Her album that she worked really hard for flopped, and she did a documentary for Amazon that was highly made fun of, and that seemed to have failed too. So I can imagine her having a very hard summer. Some of the biggest takeaways I think from the interview was that J-Lo, I think, wants to go back into music. She wants to go back to making a pop hit. She wants things to kind of resurface for her again. In the interview, she did mention about her divorce to Ben, and she said that her entire world was exploded because of the divorce, and she was really devastated by it. Right now, she is raising her 16-year-old twins, and I think that she wants to do the best to move on. Something else that came out was the fact that she wants to go back to making music, and she wants to have a dance hit. She wants to make an entire album about this divorce. I find this very interesting because we don't want it. I think that J-Lo is a very good person, and I'm sure she means well, but people just really don't like her, and they have disrespected her so much. She is one of the most disrespected pop stars in our society, and the fact that she just keeps like coming up, and she keeps doing interviews, and she keeps doing things like people really want to know is very interesting to me. It's just like, she just isn't it. I don't know a single J-Lo fan. I don't want a pop album from her anymore. I don't want music from her anymore. I don't know, man. I think that J-Lo has gotten away with a lot of stuff just because she's pretty. There, I said it. I think she's a very mediocre person, and she's gotten away with so much because she's pretty. Didn't want this interview. We didn't want it, but here we are. Lo and behold, she's back into the media again. Speaking of interviews, Tom Holland did do a podcast this week, and he talked about his sobriety, of course, his beautiful relationship with Zendaya, and how he has launched a new alcoholic-free beer line, which is really cool. Tom Holland is from Spider-Man, for those who don't know. He's been on the map lately because of his relationship with Zendaya, who is one of the biggest stars in the world right now. And I'm really proud that he has decided to launch a beer line. I think that is interesting. He is 2 years sober. It makes sense that he would turn his sobriety into an alcoholic-free line, so that maybe that will help other people that are so in sobriety right now when it comes to not drinking. He did mention a lot of stuff about his relationship with Zendaya and how he likes to help her fix things around the house, which is really cute and sweet. I love their relationship. I think that Tom Holland seems to have a very good head on his shoulders, and he's just doing the best he can. I'm not a big beer person, so I don't know if I'm ever gonna buy his beer, but maybe I'll buy it and then I'll try it and see if it's good or not. So I don't know, but good luck to Tom. But I'm really proud that he is doing the best he can. That's most of the stories this week when it comes to pop culture. If you have any more news that I missed, please comment below. And if you have anything else that I should take a look at for next week, please leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on Liam Payne's death, the statements. What are your thoughts on J-Lo possibly coming back? Of course, Tom Holland. I will try my best to come back with another story and more pop culture news in the future. Have a good one. Bye.